Chapter 29 Hitting is kissing, scolding is loving. You are listening at ModelFull.audio. Ji Wufeng shook his head and said, "It's too late today, let's play again tomorrow." "But I'm afraid I'll forget it tomorrow." Ji Yanran looked at Ji Wufeng pitifully. Ji Wufeng really couldn't bear the look in Ji Yanran's eyes, so he said, "Okay then, after you finish playing, you have to go to bed obediently." Ji Yanran liked music very much, so Qin Yi bought a piano at home. Anyway, it only took a few minutes to satisfy her. Ji Yanran excitedly ran to the piano, sat down in a decent manner, stretched out her young and short fingers and gently pressed the keys. Originally, Ji Wufeng didn't have much hope. What kind of good music could a child of several years old play? But when the sound of the piano sounded, Ji Wufeng was at a loss for a while. He didn't understand the music, but he felt that the sound played by Ji Yanran was very pleasant, almost better than those of the so-called piano masters. After the song ended, Ji Yanran ran up to Ji Wufeng and asked with expectation on her face, "Brother, did I play well?" Ji Wufeng nodded heavily and said, "You play the piano very well. It's the most beautiful piano I've ever heard." Ji Yanran was so happy that she almost jumped up and said, "That's great. My brother likes it. I'll play it to you every day from now on." Ji Wufeng picked her up and said, "I know you like music and piano, but I remember that you haven't sang or played the piano for a long time." Ji Yanran immediately lowered her head and said, "Something happened at home recently. My mother and brother are very tired and unhappy. I'm afraid it will disturb you." Ji Wufeng felt sad and said, "Don't worry, everything is fine at home. From now on, you can sing and play whenever you want. If you want to learn, my brother will invite those big stars to come back and ask you to sing and play the piano." "That's great, my brother loves me the most." Ji Yanran was overjoyed, but she quickly waved her hand and said, No, our family can't afford to hire those big stars. They cost a lot of money, and our music teacher is very good. I can become as good as her." "Enough. No matter how much money I have, I can afford it." Ji Wufeng kissed Ji Yanran's face hard and laughed. After coaxing Ji Yanran to sleep, Ji Wufeng posted information about recruiting nannies online and set the monthly salary at 20,000, which was an absolutely high salary. Anyway, he now owned shares in ModernDay building, so he was not short of money. Later, he received a call from Wang Qiming, saying that he had successfully communicated with the relevant quality control departments and would re-examine the Tianxiang Group product accident case. Conclusive evidence had been collected and that someone had framed the case. He believed that Tianxiang Group would be out of trouble soon. As for the Qin family, there is no obvious action, but Ji Wufeng believes that the Qin family will never give up and will take action again one day. Ji Wufeng entered the cultivation, but the progress was not very great. Cultivators have to absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth to practice. However, the spiritual energy on the earth is not as rich as the cultivation world, which greatly limits his cultivation. Maybe this is also the reason why there are no cultivators on earth. However, the white jade crystals that Nailan Tianxin gave him and some of the jades at home have spiritual energy and can be used for cultivation, but the amount is too small and cannot satisfy him at all, but his cultivation cannot be delayed at all. Although there are no cultivators on the earth, there are warriors. He doesn't care about an innate strong person, but what about the innate strong ones? Whether it is the earth or the world of cultivation, they all follow the law of survival of the jungle. He has dominated the world of cultivation for 1,000 years based on his strength. If he wants to survive on the earth, he must also rely on his strength. I'll have to find a lot of jade and try it. A little makes a lot. 1 or 2 pieces of jade are not enough, then piles of jade will do, right? A week passed, and Ji Wufeng went to Mei's house as scheduled, just in time to ask MaleProtagonist where he could find large quantities of jade. As soon as he arrived at the door of Mei's house, he saw Maimed and several servants of Mei's house guarding the door. Seeing him coming, the servants immediately bent down and said respectfully, "Welcome, Master Feng." Ji Wufeng touched his chin and said with a smile, "Let's all get flat." Maimed on the side rolled her eyes angrily, but she still stood up. Do you think you are an ancient emperor? Hey, what's that expression on your face? Have you forgotten our agreement? Ji Wufeng pointed at Mei Yingxue and said unhappily. Mei Yingxue could only force out a smile, gritted her teeth and said, my grandpa is waiting for you. Ji Wufeng shook his head for a while and said, you smile so stiffly, it's obvious that you are not emotionally invested. Bad review. Mei Yingxue almost went berserk. If she couldn't beat this bastard, she would have to beat him up. She didn't bother to pay attention to him, so she turned around and left. Entering the backyard of Mei's house, MaleProtagonist had been waiting there for a long time. He looked much better than before. He was not sitting in a wheelchair, but was practicing walking with a cane. Lao Mei is pretty good. He knows how to practice hard. Ji Wufeng smiled. MaleProtagonist also said excitedly, this is all due to my little brother. If it weren't for you, I, Lao Mei, would never stand up again in this life. Come on, let's get started. The needed silver needles had been prepared a long time ago, and Ji Wufeng gave the treatment directly. As usual, Ji Wufeng took the silver needle and pricked MaleProtagonist's legs randomly, and said, okay, you are recovering well. One more time, your legs will be completely healed. The corner of Mei Yingxue's mouth twitched. If she went to the doctor for such acupuncture, she would be beaten to death by the patient's family members. However, after acupuncture, although MaleProtagonist could not walk normally, his legs were stronger than before and he could walk without crutches to hold on to the wall. It doesn't matter if you don't accept it. Hey, why don't you have any eyesight? I've been here for a long time, and they haven't even asked me to get a cup of tea. Ji Wufeng squinted his eyes at Mei Yingxue. Mei Yingxue immediately stared, but MaleProtagonist said, Schwer, hurry up and pour the tea. Where are the usual etiquette? She was immediately furious and turned around to pour tea. Ji Wufeng shouted behind her, hey, don't spit in my teacup. Mei Yingxue couldn't stand still and almost fell to the ground. You bastard, spitting my saliva into your teacup, wouldn't that give you an advantage? The two sat down, and MaleProtagonist said with a smile, little brother, it seems that you and our Schwer get along very well. Hearing this, Ji Wufeng fainted. Damn, are you confused? The two of them are obviously at odds with each other. It is estimated that Mei Yingxue wants to kill her. How can they seem to get along with each other? Did not see it. Ji Wufeng said. MaleProtagonist leaned closer to Ji Wufeng and whispered, although you are very capable, little brother, you are still too young when it comes to matters between men and women. Women, in fact, are always telling the truth. What do you mean? Ji Wufeng stared. Haven't you ever heard that hitting means kissing and scolding means loving? I know my granddaughter very well. She has never met ordinary people. The way she looks at you means that you are not an ordinary person in her heart. Chapter 30. They all kissed. You are listening at ModernDay. You mean she likes me? Ji Wufeng was stunned. MaleProtagonist raised his voice and said with joy, that's not so bad. This girl of mine is very proud. If she doesn't like you, she won't pay attention to you at all. If she fights with you, it means she cares about you. Ji Wufeng squinted his eyes and said, Lao Mei, are you trying to recruit me as your grandson-in-law? MaleProtagonist smiled and said, I do have this idea, whose girl in Yulio can compare with my granddaughter. Not to mention your figure and appearance, you also have such a charming temperament. What young man wouldn't miss her after seeing her? If you start too late, there will be no store like this after passing this village. Sorry, not interested. Ji Wufeng shook his head silently. Mei Yingxue was very beautiful, and she was even the goddess in Ji Wufeng's heart. In his previous life, he would have been ecstatic, but now he really has no interest. In his previous life, he was betrayed by Zhou Zixin, and he was also betrayed by his confidant in the world of cultivation. It was difficult for him to believe in love again. MaleProtagonist was stunned immediately. He didn't expect Ji Wufeng to refuse, but judging from his attitude towards Mei Yingxue, he should be very interested. Is this little brother still thinking about that Zhou Zixin? Let me remind you, that girl is not good enough for you. She and you have not officially broken up as a couple. but she hangs out with that kid from the Chen family every day. Since the first meeting with the Mei family, they have been fully engaged in investigating Ji Wufeng. Information about him, everything he has done before can be told very well. Don't worry about this. Zhou Zixin and I have ended it a long time ago, and we will never have anything to do with each other again. Ji Wufeng said, for a woman like Zhou Zixin who is willing to degenerate and has a heart like a snake, Ji Wufeng would have been the greatest mercy by not killing her. How could he still think about her? Then do you really have a crush on the girl from the Fu family? MaleProtagonist said again. Ji Wufeng said with a smile, is this really the case? She has a curvy front and back, which means she is easy to have a child. Then look at your granddaughter's flat chest and small butt. She has such a bad body. I guess I won't have milk even after giving birth. How will I continue my family lineage in the future? At this time, Mei Xue walked not far away with tea, and happened to hear these words, and suddenly she was trembling with anger. Bastard, who are you talking about with flat chest and small butt? Where is this lady flat and where is she small? You don't have milk yet. Let's pass on the family line, and I'll pass it on to your grandma. She bent down and grabbed a handful of mud and wanted to throw it into Ji Wufeng's tea, but even a fool could see it. Bah, ah, 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 ah. Furious, Mei Xue couldn't think of anything else to do. She opened her mouth and looked into the teacup and started to slurp. The tea was only 70%, so Mei Xue squeaked a few times. After taking a sip, the teacup was almost filled with saliva. Don't try to fool me. I know that the girl from the Fu family also likes you, but you have no interest in her at all. MaleProtagonist didn't believe Ji Wufeng's words. Someone in the Mei family had been secretly paying attention to Ji Wufeng and knew all about the contact between Fu Qingling and Ji Wufeng. Forget it if you don't believe it. Ji Wufeng rolled his eyes and said, MaleProtagonist rolled his eyes and said, let me tell you, do you think Schwerer is more difficult to deal with and don't have confidence in yourself? No one knows Mei Xue's aloofness better than him. Many young heroes have pursued her, but in the end they all gave up. Just think that's the reason. Ji Wufeng said. MaleProtagonist suddenly narrowed his eyes and said, you are stupid, can't you think of other ways if you can't catch me? If the soft one doesn't work, let's use the hard one. Just push her over. If she can't be pushed down, get her drunk. If she can't be drunk, drug her. If it doesn't work, let's be tough. As long as she has a child, can she still run away? Don't worry, just go ahead and do it, I promise not to call the police. Ji Wufeng suddenly had a dark look on his face. It looked like a grandfather was recruiting his grandson's son-in-law. He was simply a fucking pimp. When Mei Xue, who was walking over with tea, heard these words, she stumbled, her whole body was trembling and she almost collapsed on the ground. She rushed over and said angrily to MaleProtagonist, Grandpa, what are you talking about? Seeing Mei Xue coming, MaleProtagonist suddenly felt embarrassed and said with a smile, it's nothing, am I not worried about your lifelong happiness? Are you worried? You are clearly an old and dishonest person. Mei Xue was furious, she didn't know that the old man was determined to recruit Ji Wufeng as his son-in-law, otherwise he wouldn't have said such rude words even at his old age. Even though MaleProtagonist looked majestic outside, when he saw Mei Xue getting angry, he still shrank in fear. Seeing this scene, Ji Wufeng knew that Mei Xue was really angry and could not be provoked. It was not suitable to stay here for a long time, so he stood up and wanted to leave. Stop, I finally brought the tea here, but you want to leave without drinking it? Mei Xue shouted coldly and threw the tea in front of Ji Wufeng. If Ji Wufeng just left like this, wouldn't her saliva be wasted? Seeing Mei Xue's murderous and ferocious look, Ji Wufeng was also frightened. He picked up the teacup and said, okay, I'll finish the tea before leaving. Hey, why is the tea filled so full? Ji Wufeng asked curiously. Are you going to drink? Mei Xue glared. Okay, I'll drink. Ji Wufeng drank the tea in the cup in one gulp, but he frowned and felt that the taste was off. He smacked it in his mouth and said, this tea seems a little different, but it tastes pretty good. Mei Yingxue suddenly looked panicked and said, "What are you talking about? Just finish your tea and leave quickly." Ji Wufeng turned around and left, but the more he thought about it, the less he felt. He suddenly turned back and said, "You didn't really spit in my tea, did you?" Hearing this, Mei Yingshue's face suddenly turned as red as a ripe tomato. She didn't expect that Ji Wufeng would find out, so she quickly denied it and said, "You think so? Get out of here. Miaofeng is an old fox, and Ji Wufeng is an old monster who has lived for thousands of years." You can tell why at a glance from Mei Yingshue's reaction. Ji Wufeng's face suddenly turned as if he was in trouble. He was just joking before, but he didn't expect Mei Yingxue to actually spit in his tea. Ha ha ha. Miaofeng rolled his eyes, laughed excitedly, and said, "Little brother, if you drink Shuer's saliva, it's the same as kissing her." You young people's fashionable words, how do you say that? Yes, it's called indirect kissing. Grandpa, you. Mei Yingxue wanted to die and really wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. Miaofeng said to Ji Wufeng, "Xiao Feng, I kissed you on the lips, and it was Shuer who took the initiative. You should be relieved this time, right, that he took advantage of every opportunity and even changed his title. He will be his grandson-in-law from now on. He can't still call him little brother, right? What nonsense are you talking about? Who took the initiative?" Mei Yingxue is making her final struggle, Miaofeng said confidently, "You spit in the saliva yourself, and no one forced you. Doesn't this count as taking the initiative?" Chapter 31 Antique Street. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "You old thing, go to hell." Mei Yingxue was so ashamed and angry that she yelled and ran away. Formally she was extremely respectful to Miaofeng, but this time she actually called him an old man. Obviously she was really angry. Ji Wufeng also curled his lips and said, "I don't think you are an old thing, you are simply old and dishonest." Miaofeng chuckled and said, "What's so good about being serious? If a person is too serious, how can he find a wife and marry whom? In fact, he has good intentions. His granddaughter is extremely good in all aspects, but she is too cold and arrogant. With this kind of temperament, even if they get married and have children in the future, the relationship between husband and wife will not be harmonious, so how can they talk about happiness? I'm too lazy to care about you." Ji Wufeng rolled his eyes and said, "Let me ask you something, where can I find a large amount of jade?" "It's not easy to get jade. I have quite a few at home, all of which are top grade. How about I give them to you as a dowry now?" Miaofeng said with a smile. "Stop talking nonsense, this is business. I want a lot of jade, the kind that come in piles." Ji Wufeng said. "If you want jade, of course you go to Chen's house. Old man Chen specializes in buying jade, but he doesn't seem to be feeling well lately." Miaofeng frowned. The Chen family, one of the four major families in Hunan and Lulu, has been engaged in antique jade for generations. More than 70% of the antique jade shops in Hunan and Lulu are under the name of the Chen family. Therefore, if Ji Wufeng wanted to find a large amount of jade in Yulio, he could only go to the Chen family. It doesn't matter whether he feels comfortable or not, as long as he has jade. Ji Wufeng got up and left Mei's house. Miaofeng looked at Ji Wufeng's back and said with a sly smile, "Boy, you are a little too young to fight with me. One day I want you to call me Grandpa." Mei Yingxue was alone in the room, feeling so angry that her brain ached. She had never been teased like this before in her whole life, and the culprit was still her grandfather. However, she could not retaliate against her grandfather. She gritted her teeth and said, "You bastard, just wait for me. We are not done with this. Ha ha ha, of course it can't be over. If it's over, will we get married and have children?" Miaofeng laughed and walked in. Mei Yingxue was really angry and said, "Grandpa, can you stop talking nonsense? Shuer, do you really think that Grandpa will completely disregard your lifelong happiness just to recruit him?" Miaofeng said. "Humph, do you have any other reasons?" Mei Yingxue said coldly. Miaofeng sighed and said, "Shuer, there are so many people pursuing you, which one is not the so-called young hero? Why would Grandpa fall in love with him alone? Isn't it because he can heal your leg and is of great value to the Mei family? Mei Shue's tone became even colder. Yes, this is a very important reason, but it is not the main reason why Grandpa likes him. Mei Yaofeng said. What's the main reason? The main reason is not that Grandpa likes him, but that you yourself like him. Am I attracted to him? Mei Shue was stunned for a moment, and then said with murderous intent, how is that possible? I want to tear his mouth to pieces and chop off his dog's head. Mei Yaofeng squinted his eyes and smiled, but there are so many people pursuing you, what kind of people aren't there? Some people say and do things that are even more egregious than him, but you turn a blind eye and turn a deaf ear. Why are you the only one who has so much resentment against him? Mei Shue fell into deep thought for a while. Yes, there were many people pursuing her, and some people did things even more hateful than Ji Wufeng, but she had never had any resentment because she felt there was no need to be angry about boring things. How could this happen? Mei Shue was shocked. Mei Yaofeng patted her shoulder and said earnestly, Shuer, you are angry because you care. If you don't care, will you care what he says? Mei Shue stood there blankly. Did she care about that bastard? No way, why would I care about that bastard? Mei Shue immediately shook her head and denied it. Even if she was beaten to death, it would be impossible. That bastard is not serious, and he acts like a hooligan when he opens his mouth. If you marry him, you will probably be angry to death within a few days of marriage. If you have a son, you will definitely give birth to a bunch of hooligans. Impossible, absolutely impossible, even if all the men in the world are dead. Ji Wufeng thought that the jade he wanted to get was not a small amount, and he couldn't get it by himself, so he called Qi Heng and recruited him as a coolie. When the master called, Qi Heng had to put aside even the most serious matters, and immediately rushed over to let him do his bidding. 20 minutes later, Ji Wufeng saw Qi Heng driving over in a hot red Ferrari sports car like thunder and lightning. After getting in the car, Ji Wufeng said, You're not a good guy, but the car is pretty good. Ha ha ha, master, if you like it, I will give you this car as a gift. Qi Heng laughed. Forget it, I can't drive yet. In the previous century, Wu Feng had longed for luxury cars, but Qin Yi was afraid that he would cause trouble and develop a bad habit of comparison, so he forbade him from driving a car before graduating from college. He even drove a cheap car with only a few 100,000 yuan. In the end, in the world of cultivation, there is no such thing as a car. However, he failed to do so in his previous life. In this life, he wanted to try what it felt like to drive a luxury car. The two drove to an antique street and saw that the whole street was filled with antiques, calligraphy and paintings. The gambling stone square they wanted to go to was at the end of the street. The streets were full of stalls. You couldn't drive in and had to walk there. When they saw the two people driving a luxury car, the stall owners suddenly brightened their eyes and gathered around them. The thing about antiques is all about discernment. The two of them are so young, they are probably just starting out. Moreover, they drive luxury cars and have a lot of money. They are just the fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered in the eyes of these people. Ji Wufeng glanced at the stalls of the stall owners. He didn't understand antiques, calligraphy and paintings, but he could feel the aura. These things had no aura, so in his eyes they were all just a pile of rubbish. The two continued to move forward, but the stall owners refused to give up. Qi Heng got angry and drove them away. However, not far away, Ji Wufeng suddenly stopped, looked at a stall, and walked straight over. Boss, how do you sell this thing? Ji Wufeng pointed to a large green Buddha that was half a man tall. The stall owner was a man with a sharp mouth and a mustache. He didn't see that Ji Wufeng was driving a sports car. He glanced at him and said casually, Take the 5,000 yuan. Qi Heng immediately stared and said, Damn it, you want 5,000 for this thing, why don't you go and grab it? Master, let's go. Why are you looking at all this garbage? The big Buddha was immediately known to be a factory-produced decoration. Qi Heng didn't know the trade but knew it was garbage. It cost only a few 100 yuan, but it was sold for 5,000. When the stall owner heard this, he immediately became angry and said in a cold voice, Boy, please be careful when you speak. You said the things I have here are garbage. Be careful that you can't get out of here. Chapter 32 The Eldest Son of the Chen Family. You are listening at ModernDay. Ji Wufeng was angry. No one in Yulio had ever spoken to him like this. Ji Wufeng said, "Okay, I'll buy 5,000, and Ji Wufeng will give you the money." Ji Wufeng hesitated to speak, but he had to listen to the master's words. When he was about to take the money to pay the bill, he saw the stall owner squinting his eyes and said, "It was 5,000 just now, and now the price has increased to 10,000. Ji Wufeng was furious on the spot, and none of them were that dark in the world. But Ji Wufeng nodded and said, "Okay, 10,000 is 10,000. This giant Buddha was indeed a piece of garbage. It was made of clay and painted with a layer of green paint. Its market price would not exceed 200 yuan. However, Ji Wufeng noticed a trace of aura from the belly of the giant Buddha. It was obvious that there was something else going on. The stall owner was stunned for a moment, then he immediately picked up the big Buddha with a smile and handed it to Ji Wufeng's hands, saying, "My little brother has such a good eye. This thing is a treasure. Maybe it is really a illuminated jade Buddha." Ji Wufeng wanted to scold his mother, "Let your mother shine, even the jade Buddha, who the hell are you kidding?" But Ji Wufeng decided to buy it, so he had to pay angrily. The stall owner happily accepted the money. This jade Buddha was actually passed down from the ancestors of a migrant worker. He originally wanted to sell it for a big price, but after identification, it turned out to be factory made, so he accepted it for 50 yuan. "I recharged a few and didn't plan to sell it, but I didn't expect that a fool would come to my door." Ji Wufeng asked Ji Wufeng to hold the big Buddha and leave. He had to go to Beishifang to do business. But at this moment, someone shouted, "Wait a minute." Ji Wufeng turned around and saw a young man walking over. He was tall and handsome, with fine features, but he was mentally depressed. There was a wisp of evil spirit between his eyebrows, giving off an ominous look. Seeing this young man, the stall owners immediately gathered around and said, "Isn't that Chen Qihang, the eldest young master of the Chen family?" Chen Qihang. The eldest son of the Chen family, one of the four largest families in Hunan and Liuzhou, the Chen family has studied antiques and jade for generations, and Chen Qihang is no exception. He went abroad to study archaeology in college, so he is much more low-key compared to the other young masters and ladies from the other three major families. Chen Qihang walked over and looked at the giant Buddha, his eyes brightened and he said, "Brother, can I part ways with this giant Buddha? I'm willing to pay double the price. Even Master Chen has taken a liking to this thing." "Is it really a good thing?" Someone said in shock. The stall owner's expression suddenly changed. What Chen Qihang was interested in was definitely not as simple as being worth 10,000 yuan. "Sorry, not for sale." Ji Wufeng said. "How about 5 times the price?" Chen Qihang said again. Ji Wufeng turned around and left, not bothering to pay attention to him. "Wait a minute." Chen Qihang took a step forward to stop Ji Wufeng and said seriously, "Brother, you must be an expert if you like this giant Buddha. I know a little bit about this business, why don't we learn from each other? It's okay to have a discussion." "What kind of prizes do you have?" Ji Wufeng asked. "If I'm right, this thing belongs to me. What if I win? I'll give you 1,000,000. "Okay, I'll bet you." Ji Wufeng readily agreed. A fool came to his door with money. If he didn't want it, wouldn't he be an idiot? "I bet there is cold jade in the belly of the Buddha." Chen Qihang said. Ji Wufeng raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Chen Qihang did have some abilities. Yes, there was indeed cold jade in the belly of this giant Buddha, and it was still the same cold jade from the year before last. "I bet there is a white jade guanyin hidden in the belly of the Buddha." Ji Wufeng said. Chen Qihang suddenly burst into laughter and said, "What a nonsense. You even know the shape. Do you think you have clairvoyant eyes?" Ji Wufeng curled his lips and said, "Is this nonsense? Let's break it open and take a look, then we'll find out, right? I'll have the equipment delivered right now for identification on the spot." Chen Qihang said. "No need, I can directly identify it without instruments." After Ji Wufeng finished speaking, he slapped the big Buddha with his palm. The big Buddha was immediately broken into pieces. Sure enough, there was a universe inside. A white light flashed, and then a cold breath spread. Everyone onlookers were shocked and said, "Hanyu, there is really cold jade inside. Damn it, it's really the white jade guanine." That in the belly of the Buddha is indeed a white jade guanine carved from thousand-year-old cold jade. The migrant worker's ancestor was once a big landowner. This white jade guanine is a family heirloom. When facing a house raid, in order to save the white jade guanine, he hid it in a statue. Among the giant Buddhas of garbage, Chen Qihang was immediately dumbfounded and said, "It's impossible, how can you even know what shape it is? There is no such means in the world. You lose, give me money, 1 million in cash or transfer." Ji Wufeng stretched out his smiling hand towards Chen Qihang. "I was short of money, so this guy gave me 1 million. He was really a good person." "You." Chen Qihang's face was uglier than the maggots that had eaten in the toilet. This time, he lost his wife and lost his troops. Not only did he fail to get any benefits, but he also pocketed 1 million. What made him even more unbearable was that the Chen family had been studying antiques for generations. He had just returned from studying abroad and was about to show off his talents. However, he lost to a young boy who appeared out of nowhere. How could he be embarrassed? "Transfer via mobile phone, give me your account number." Chen Qihang took out his mobile phone and said angrily. Ji Wufeng didn't have an account, so he reported Qi Heng's account, and soon received a text message with a credit of 1 million. He finally showed a smile and said to Chen Qihang, "Thank you for supporting me, welcome to visit next time." Such a generous and good man, he should show his kindness no matter what he says. Puff. If Chen Qihang hadn't been in good health, he would have vomited blood and died on the spot. He glared at Ji Wufeng fiercely and turned around, heading towards stone gambling at the end of the street. After Chen Qihang walked away, Qi Heng said with admiration, "Master, you don't have yin and yang eyes, do you?" His vision turned out to be more accurate than that of Chen Qihang. The eyes of cultivators can see many things that ordinary people cannot see. It is not wrong to say that they are yin and yang eyes. Just then Ji Wufeng's phone rang, and after the call was answered, a very pleasant female voice said, "Is this Mr. Ji? I saw your recruitment information." "Oh, I'm busy now, let's talk about it tomorrow." Ji Wufeng said. "Mr. Ji, if you have anything to do, please do your business first. I can wait for you." The other party's tone was urgent. "I'm outside now, and I don't know when I will go back. I'll contact you when I get back." After Ji Wufeng finished speaking, he hung up the phone. His first requirement for a nanny was that he should be over 30 years old. The other party's voice could tell that he was in his early 20s at most. The two of them continued to walk forward, and Ji Wufeng discovered that some of the items in the stalls were filled with spiritual energy, but it was too weak, and the total sum of them was not as good as a small piece of white jade crystal. However, what they didn't notice was that Bosley behind them had a fierce look in his eyes and said in a ferocious voice, "You two little bastards, I'm afraid you won't live to enjoy it if you take advantage of me." Chapter 33 Emerald Husband. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji Wufeng and the others strode into the stone gambling workshop. Sure enough, although all the stones looked gray and jagged, many of them exuded aura, and there must be jade hidden inside. However, every stone has a price marked on it, ranging from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands or millions. It is said that stone gambling is a thing for rich people, and it is true at all. Next to the stones in each area, there are dedicated young women who are responsible for reception and introducing various rough stones. There are also dedicated jade masters who are responsible for interpreting the stones. At this moment, Ji Wufeng saw a large group of people gathered together. They were all groveling, nodding and bowing. They were obviously trying to flatter someone. Wasn't that the good guy Chen Qihang just now? Chen Qihang also saw Ji Wufeng and said angrily, "You also bet on stones? Want to come and play?" Ji Wufeng nodded. Betting on stones is not something you can rely on luck. Be careful and lose everything. Chen Qihang snorted coldly. Ji Wufeng raised the phone in his hand and said with a grin, it doesn't matter, I will lose all this million at most, just pretend I didn't win. You. Chen Qihang almost lost his temper and walked over, saying angrily, do you dare to fight with me on the gambling stone again? Okay, if you give me money, why don't I want it? Ji Wufeng said. It was already good that Chen Qihang could tell that there was cold jade hidden in the big Buddha before, but it was a pity that he met Ji Wufeng. Compared with ordinary people, the eyes of cultivators are no different from clairvoyants. He still wants to continue gambling. It's really no different from giving money. Chen Qihang gritted his teeth with hatred and said, the winner will be determined by the value of the green bet. In addition to his own green bet, the loser must accompany the winner with an amount of the same value. No problem, just wait until you lose and lose your underwear. Ji Wufeng happily agreed. When the people in the stone gambling workshop heard that Ji Wufeng was gambling with Chen Qihang, they all immediately gathered around. After all, the Chen family has been studying antique jade for generations, and their methods are extremely skillful. No one in Yulio can match them. Who on earth has such courage? Betting on stones with the Chen family, Chen Qihang pointed to a stone the size of a watermelon with a price tag of 250,000, and said, I want this piece, move it over here. Ji Wufeng nodded. Chen Qihang's stone was rich in aura, contained jade, and was valuable. He glanced at it, pointed at a stone and said, I want that piece, bring it to me. Everyone was stunned at first when they saw it, and then they couldn't help but laugh and said, I thought he was so capable, but after working for a long time, it turned out to be only 250. Choose a useless person and dare to challenge Mr. Chen with his abilities. You really don't know how high the sky is. I don't know whose prodigal son came out to waste money. After all, gambling stone shop is a business, and no one will do a loss-making business. Every piece of rough stone in gambling stone shop is priced after a skilled jade master estimates its probability of turning green and the value of turning green. Usually, the higher the value, the higher the price. The higher the probability of going green, the higher the value of going green. The price of the stone Ji Wufeng chose was only 80,000 yuan. It was only about the size of a fist. Even if it turned green, it would not be very valuable. It usually would not exceed the price tag. This kind of stone is called waste stone. No one who knows anything about it would give it a second glance. Put it here. Just a fill-in. Chen Qihang looked disdainful and said, it seems that I have overestimated you. Betting with you is simply an insult to me. Now he concluded that his previous defeat at the hands of Ji Wufeng was just because the opponent was lucky. Ji Wufeng rolled his eyes and said, you were so crazy right there before the results came out. I told you to lose your underwear later. Humph, you damn duck has a tough mouth, come and unravel the stone. Chen Qihang snorted coldly. Immediately, a jade master came forward and cut with a stone knife 3 times, 5 times, and 2 times. A red light appeared inside. Someone said excitedly, it's green, it's green. It should be chicken blood stone. Sure enough, after unraveling the stone, a piece of chicken blood stone was dug out. The jade master valued it at 500,000 yuan on the spot, doubling the profit. Everyone immediately gathered around and praised Chen Qihang for his good skills. Ji Wufeng curled his lips and shouted, hey, 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 can you please stop trying to flatter me? My stone hasn't been solved yet. Everyone is angry and funny. You have chosen a loser and you are destined to lose. What else is there to solve? The Jade Master shook his head and said, no need to explain. I originally estimated this stone. I don't know whether it will turn out green or not. Even if it turns out, it won't be worth much, and it won't be more than 80,000. At this time, Qihang whispered, Master, we haven't solved it yet, why don't we change it? If we don't change it, what will happen if some people default on their debts? That's it. After Ji Wufeng finished speaking, he grabbed the jade in his hand and released his true energy to directly dissolve the stone. Even without the use of a cutter, the rough stone continued to shed debris, gradually revealing its original appearance. Everyone was talking and marveling, and Chen Qihang was also stunned. He had seen many methods of breaking stones since he was a child, but no one had ever broken stones by hand. After the skin of the original stone was rubbed away, little green lights bloomed, and everyone couldn't help shouting. What the hell, can this waste rock turn green? Ah! This color. I checked and it turned out to be emerald. After all the stone skin was worn away, everyone saw clearly what it was, and recognized at a glance that it turned out to be the best jadeite emerald. The Jade Master was stunned and said to himself, "Impossible, how could this stone turn green?" And it turned out to be. After estimation, this emerald was worth 1 million. Adding Chen Qihang's bloodstone, he spent 80,000 yuan and earned 1.5 million. "Do you dare to gamble again?" Chen Qihang said with a sideways face. "Okay, who would mind having too much money?" Ji Wufeng couldn't wait to continue gambling. The two once again selected rough stones. The rough stone Chen Qihang selected was worth 300,000 yuan. In the end, they also cut out an emerald, which was estimated to be worth 1.5 million yuan. Chen Qihang looked confident that he would never lose again this time. He looked at the waste stone worth 100,000 yuan in Ji Wufeng's hand and said, "I don't believe you can cut out emeralds this time." At the same time, others also concluded that Ji Wufeng could not continue to be lucky and cut out emeralds again. "That's right, it's not an emerald this time." Ji Wufeng nodded and opened the stone with his bare hands. Green light overflowed and everyone was dumbfounded. "Damn it, it's actually imperial green." Suddenly, everyone's eyes changed when they looked at Ji Wufeng. It was luck the first time, but could it still be luck the second time? Qihang was so excited that he almost jumped out of his skin and laughed loudly. "It is indeed not emerald, but he is Emerald's husband." After estimation, the value of the imperial green was 2 million, and Chen Qihang lost again. "Ha ha, thank you very much, Mr. Chen. You can't stop your luck. I'm waiting for you to transfer the money." In the blink of an eye, he made another 3 million yuan. Ji Wufeng laughed and turned around to leave. "Stop!" Chen Qihang shouted coldly, and a dozen fierce and strong men rushed out to block Ji Wufeng's way. Chapter 34 Evil Spirit. You are listening at ModernDay. Those onlookers retreated one after another, some shaking their heads in regret, and some gloating about the misfortune. The Chen family has studied antiques and jade for generations, claiming that no one in Yulio can surpass them. Ji Wufeng came here to challenge the Chen family's eldest son for 2 consecutive victories. How can the Chen family's face be saved? If the Chen family doesn't regain a little face, there will be no need to mess around in the future. Ji Wufeng chuckled and said, "What? If the soft one doesn't work, why don't you use the hard one?" He wished that the Chen family would be violent. There were jade stones everywhere here, which could completely satisfy his cultivation. He was worried about how to move all the jade stones away. If the Chen family were to be tough, it would give him an excuse. The dozen or so strong men had a fierce look in their eyes, and they said ferociously to Ji Wufeng, "You little bastards, you are so brave that you dare to come to the Chen family to run wild." Qihang was angry and sneered, "You want to be aggressive? I'm afraid you'll encounter something more brutal. Who in Yulio Luanheng can compare with Qi Jia, the leader of the world? If you dare to be so arrogant when you are about to die, chop off one of their hands." A strong man said in a deep voice. "Stop!" Suddenly, a dozen strong men gathered around, but Chen Qihang shouted sharply, "Is this how you usually treat your guests? Young master, let's..." "Shut up!" Chen Qihang snorted coldly and said to Ji Wufeng, "Brother, I admire your methods, but my Chen family is not that easy to bully." "What do you want?" Ji Wufeng squinted his eyes and said. "I am willing to admit defeat. Our Chen family will never bully others." Chen Qihang took out something from his arms and said, "As long as you can identify this thing, Chen Qihang, will be convinced and respectfully send my brother off." Ji Wufeng took a closer look at what Chen Qihang was holding, and his eyes suddenly became focused. It was a blood-red jade pot the size of a palm, and it was crystal clear. It was obvious at first sight that it was extraordinary. However, Ji Wufeng smelled that the jade pot exuded a strong smell of blood, and the evil spirit revealed made people feel bone-chilling. It's like there's a ghost trapped in the jade pot. Moreover, Ji Wufeng had noticed before that there was an evil aura between Chen Qihang's eyebrows, which was obviously related to the jade pot. I don't know what this jade pot is, but I know it is definitely not a good thing. Ji Wufeng said. Chen Qihang raised his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, "This is obvious at a glance. There is nothing surprising. It does not prove that you are smarter than me." Ji Wufeng smiled calmly and said, "It's very simple to prove that I'm smarter than you." He took the jade pot from Chen Qihang's hand and released his true energy. An astonishing scene appeared. The strong smell of blood and the biting evil spirit disappeared instantly. At the same time, the blood-red color on the jade pot turned out unexpectedly. It faded little by little, and finally turned completely white. Everyone was stunned that such a thing could happen. Ji Wufeng's eyes suddenly lit up after he took the jade pot in his hand. This jade pot was not an ordinary jade pot, it was actually similar to a storage ring in the world of cultivation. The storage ring in the world of cultivation is only the size of a thumb, but it contains the universe and can hold a mountain. This jade pot also has space inside, about the size of a house. Although the difference is huge, there is no doubt that this is a jade pot-shaped storage ring of somewhat poor quality. Are there also cultivators on Earth? Except for cultivators, it is impossible for anyone to forge this jade pot. Seeing this scene, Chen Qihang's expression changed drastically. He knelt down on the ground with a thud, and said, "Sir, help me." Suddenly, everyone was shocked. They didn't understand what was going on with Chen Qihang. Why did he kneel down all of a sudden? Could it be that he was stimulated, couldn't bear it, and went crazy? However, Ji Wufeng knew why Chen Qihang was like this, and said calmly, "Let's find a place where no one is around to chat." "Okay, sir, please come with me." Chen Qihang stood up in a hurry and said to the dozen or so strong men who were petrified there, "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and bring the tea to my room." After leaving the stone gambling hall and arriving at Chen Qihang's office, before Ji Wufeng could sit down, he said, "Sir, I've offended you so much just now. Please don't take offense. Forget it, I didn't suffer any loss anyway." Ji Wufeng waved his hand, sat down and said, "Tell me, where does this jade pot come from? I don't dare to hide it. This jade pot was obtained by my grandfather. Chen Qihang's grandfather, Chen Yuanyang, has been obsessed with antique jade all his life. He got this jade pot by chance and regarded it as a treasure in the world. He kept it in his hands all day long. I can't put it down, but soon, Chen Yuanyang developed problems. He became listless and drowsy all day long. However, he never slept peacefully. As soon as he fell asleep, he was awakened by nightmares and shouted that there was a ghost. This continued for a full 2 or 3 months. Chen Yuanyang became more and more weightless and began to fall into coma. However, while in coma, he still shouted that there was a ghost, and even countless famous doctors could not do anything, not to mention, shortly after Chen Yuanyang fell into coma, Chen Qihang's father, Chen Lufeng, had the same situation again, and it was exactly the same as Chen Yuanyang. This is also the reason why Chen Qihang rushed back. Ji Wufeng looked at Chen Qihang and said, "If I guessed correctly, this should have happened to you, right?" "Yes, this happened to me too." Chen Qihang looked at the jade pot and said with horror in his eyes, "And I am sure it must be related to this jade pot. My grandfather got sick. After he fell into a coma, the jade pot came into the hands of my father. My dad was ill, and I took it. When it comes to you, it turns out to be the same. Obviously, what happened in the Chen family was caused by the evil thing called the jade pot. Chen Qihang wanted to destroy it, but it was related to the lives of his grandfather and father. If he destroyed it, he might not be able to find a way to save his life." Today he met Ji Wufeng and was shocked by his methods. He thought he must be an expert in antique jade and might know the origin of the jade pot. Sure enough, the jade pot underwent strange changes in Ji Wufeng's hands. Ji Wufeng nodded and said, "It's very simple. You guys have hit a ghost. He has already figured out what this jade pot is. It is a vessel used for soul refining. The human soul gathers the two qi of yin and yang and the essence of the five elements. In the world of cultivation, there are evil people who capture the soul and use it to devour the soul for cultivation. It's called soul refining. The reason why this jade pot is so evil is because a large number of living souls have been refined in it, and the resentment cannot be eliminated. Anyone who comes into contact with the jade pot will have evil spirits enter their bodies, corroding their essence and spirit, and end up with the same fate as Chen Yuanyang and his son. Hit a ghost. Are there really ghosts in the world? Qi Heng's eyes widened with disbelief on his face. People have a kind of spiritual power that will dissipate after death. However, if the willpower is strong enough, they will survive, which is what is called a ghost. Ji Wufeng explained in the most popular way, then removed the true energy wrapped in the jade pot and pointed at it. Chapter 35 The Immortal Descends to Earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Howl. The jade pot suddenly turned blood red again, and a figure rushed out of the jade pot with a roar, and rushed towards Qi Heng and Chen Qihang. Only half of the figure's head was left. His face was as pale as paper, his lips were black, and he had black fangs. Oh my God, ghost! Qi Heng and Chen Qihang were so frightened that they collapsed on the ground. Ji Wufeng grabbed it with his palm, and the figure disappeared, and the jade pot turned white again. The living soul in this jade pot has completely lost its mind because of too much resentment. Now it only knows the spirit of crazy revenge and killing. Qi Heng stood up with trembling legs and said, Master, are there really ghosts in the world? Now that science has developed to this extent, it has been proven that the theory of ghosts and gods is completely nonsense, but now that it is seen with one's own eyes, how can one explain it? Just understand it this way. Ji Wufeng had no way to explain to them from a cultivator's perspective. Chen Qihang crawled to Ji Wufeng on his knees and begged, Sir, please save my grandfather, save my dad, save the Chen family. The 3 generations of the Chen family have evil spirits in their bodies now, and their lives will not be long. If they are all gone, it is estimated that the Chen family will be expelled from Yulio from now on. Don't worry, it's just a small matter. Come get 3 glasses of water. Even if Chen Qihang didn't ask him, he would take action. This jade pot must be used by cultivators. He would also ask Chen Yuanyang about the origin of this jade pot. Chen Qihang immediately took 3 glasses of water. Ji Wufeng grabbed them in the air, and 3 invisible airflows poured into the glasses. You can have a drink. Ji Wufeng said. Chen Qihang didn't understand what Ji Wufeng meant. Aren't all ghosts exorcised with peach wood swords and yellow paper talismans? What does it mean to drink a glass of water? If you don't believe me, you don't have to drink. Ji Wufeng said. Drink, I drink. Chen Qihang picked up the water glass and drank it all in one gulp. Suddenly his face changed, his cheeks turned red, like roasted pig's trotters, and large beads of sweat oozed from his forehead. It's so hot. Chen Qihang shouted and took off all his clothes. He felt like a fire was burning in his body. In fact, the pure yang energy that Ji Wufeng injected into the water just now was the nemesis of the yin and evil energy. Soon, Chen Qihang returned to normal. His whole body was already soaked, but his previous sluggishness was gone and he was in high spirits. Sir, I'm fine, Chen Qihang said ecstatically. Ji Wufeng pointed to the remaining 2 glasses of water and said, Take these 2 glasses of water back and give them to your grandfather and father to drink. They will be fine. Plop. Chen Qihang knelt down again and said excitedly, Sir, I'm going back first. Your great kindness to the Chen family will be unforgettable by the entire Chen family, and it will be repaid in the future. After saying that, he hurriedly left with 2 glasses of water. Qi Heng admired Ji Wufeng completely at this time and said, Master, are you a god descending to earth? You can say that. Ji Wufeng was the Immortal King before. It is not wrong at all to say that he is an immortal. The 2 walked out of Chen Qihang's office. Qi Heng said, Master, are we still betting on stones? Ji Wufeng looked at the time. Ji Yanran was about to get out of school. If he went back late and the little girl was home alone, he said, no need to gamble. As long as he wants, he can completely remove the jade here, but there is no need now. He has helped the Chen family. If they want jade in the future, the Chen family will naturally do their best, so why do it themselves? Besides, he had made a big gain today. Not to mention making money, the jade pot was definitely related to cultivators, but his current cultivation level was not enough to detect more information from the jade pot. Qiheng sent Ji Wufeng to the door of his house and said, Master, let me withdraw your money now and deliver it to you. No, I'll open an account tomorrow and you can just transfer it over. It's a bit inconvenient to withdraw millions. However, when Ji Wufeng just walked into a secluded area of the community, he raised his eyebrows with murderous intent. 5 masked men came out holding daggers, surrounded him, and said with a ferocious laugh, You little bastard, hand over what you got today, or you won't survive. Ji Wufeng recognized at a glance that one of them was the boss Li who sold the white jade guanine to him as trash today, and said with a smile, What? Want to take back guanine in white? Boss Li was stunned for a moment, knowing that he had been exposed, and said in a cold tone, Brothers, kill this guy, the white jade guanine is priceless, and you will benefit from it once you get it. Boy, you are unlucky. Wait until you die and go to the underworld to worship your guanine. The remaining 4 men's eyes were filled with greed, and they rushed towards Ji Wufeng with daggers raised. Ji Wufeng's unwillingness to commit more murders does not mean that he has a bodhisattva heart, and there is murderous intention in his eyes, but the earth is not a world of cultivation. You don't have to be strong to do whatever you want. If you kill people, the police will come and you will be in trouble. He smiled and took out the jade pot. Boss Li, don't be impatient. Can you see if this jade pot is also a treasure? Ji Wufeng said. Sure enough, when he saw the jade pot, Boss Li's eyes immediately widened. He snatched it away and said excitedly, What a treasure, what a treasure. Ji Wufeng snorted coldly and withdrew the true energy that wrapped the jade pot, and saw that the white jade pot suddenly turned blood red. Howl. The dark wind came, and with bursts of howling, the spirit in the jade pot rushed out and rushed towards Boss Li and the other 5. Oh my God, help me. Boss Li and the other 5 people immediately threw away the jade pot and ran away howling miserably. However, after taking a few steps, they fell to the ground and died. Ji Wufeng picked up the jade pot and turned around to go home without even bothering to look at the body. Not long after arriving home, Ji Yanran was also taken back by the school bus. The little girl was very happy and said that she got full marks in the exam again, and the music teacher also taught her new songs. Sure enough, Ji Yanran played the new song she learned today and she played it better than yesterday. Our girl is indeed a genius. Ji Wufeng said happily. Ji Yanran shook her head and said, Our teacher taught her well. Let me tell you, our teacher is also very beautiful. Since you like your music teacher so much, why not invite her back to teach you specifically? Ji Wufeng said. Okay. Ji Yanran was excited at first, but then she shook her head and said, No, the students all like her. If you invite her back, the other students will be unhappy. Then I'll invite a more powerful teacher back. That won't work either. Our teacher is the most powerful and no one can compare with him. Ji Yanran shook her head and refused again. After Ji Yanran fell asleep, Ji Wufeng planned to study the jade pot carefully. When he heard someone ringing the doorbell, he stood up and opened the door, and was stunned for a moment. Standing outside the door was a girl in her early 20s. Although she was dressed very plainly, she had a beautiful appearance and a slim figure. She was as pleasing to the eye as a hibiscus. She was very charming. A sense of elegance. Chapter 36 Future Superstar. You are listening at ModernDay. Moreover, Ji Wufeng felt that this face was very familiar, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Hello, is this Mr. Ji Wufeng? I saw the nanny recruitment information you posted online and I'm here for an interview. The girl said. It turned out that he was here to interview the nanny, the same one who called him today, but there was no need to come to the door in the middle of the night, right? Ji Wufeng shook his head and said, I'm sorry, the age I require is over 30 years old. and you have been a mother. You don't look like you are 30 years old, and you don't look like you have children. The girl hurriedly said, Mr. Ji, I know my age does not meet your requirements, but I have been a tutor. In addition to taking care of the children, I can also help with homework. But my sister is very smart and has good grades. She doesn't need tutoring, so I'm sorry. After Ji Wufeng finished speaking, he was about to close the door. The girl quickly stopped Ji Wufeng. Her hand was almost caught in the door, her eyes turned red, and she begged with a face full of pleading, Mr. Ji, please give me this job, I really need it. Ji Wufeng couldn't help but look at her carefully. The more he looked at her, the more familiar she became. Finally, he remembered it and said emotionally, I know who you are Shi Qianying. In her previous life, Shi Qianying participated in a singing talent show. Her solid singing skills, beautiful voice, and beautiful appearance made her an instant hit. Especially the image of her sitting in front of the piano, playing and singing, became the favorite of countless people at that time. The goddess in my heart. After that, she was noticed by a major record company, and within a month she released a new album composed by herself. The new album finally set an unprecedented record in the music industry in the past 10 years. After Ji Wufeng was killed, a wandering soul was wandering around in confusion. Suddenly he heard a beautiful song that woke him up, and this song came from Shi Qianying. Although there is no way to prove it, Ji Wufeng believes that it was Shi Qianying singing that woke him up. Otherwise, he would still be an unconscious wandering soul and eventually disappear between heaven and earth, and there would be no way he could enter the world of cultivation. Ji Wufeng regarded this incident as a great favor, so even after 1,000 years, he still remembered Shi Qianying's appearance. Mr. Ji, do you know me? Shi Qianying was stunned. Ha, I've heard of you. Ji Wufeng smiled. At this time, Shi Qianying had not participated in the draft and had not become famous yet. Mr. Ji, I really need this job now. Can you please hire me? Shi Qianying's face was full of demands. Ji Wufeng nodded and said, it's no problem to ask you, but I remember that you study music, how come you are the nanny? Shi Qianying suddenly looked sad and said, I do study music, but now my mother is seriously ill and needs medical expenses. I have to. Because there is no money to pay for medical expenses, Shi Qianying can only go around now. Looking for a job to make money, she accidentally saw an advertisement for a nanny posted by Ji Wufeng. The monthly salary was as high as 20,000 yuan, so when she saw the recruitment information, she rushed over, fearing that someone would be the first to post it. So that's it. Okay, I'll ask you. But in addition to taking care of my sister, you also have to teach her music. Is there any problem? Ji Wufeng said. Ji Wufeng had a good impression of Shi Qianying, so he wanted to help her. Plus Ji Yanran liked music, and now there was a future singing superstar as a teacher, so why not use it? What's more, it's his own Enran, so he naturally won't mind lending a helping hand. Mr. Ji, thank you so much. Don't worry, I will definitely do this job well. Shi Qianying thanked Ji Wufeng with a grateful face, hesitated for a moment and then said, but, can I pay 3 months' salary in advance? I really need money now, just treat it as if I borrowed it, and I will pay you back with interest when the time comes. This is no problem, but can you wait for 2 days? Although Ji Wufeng now has several million, they are all in Qi Heng's account and he cannot get out 60,000 yuan in cash. Is that so? Shi Qianying suddenly felt disappointed because she had not only found a job, but because she was in urgent need of money, she asked her employer to advance her salary in advance. However, she was either rejected directly or, like Ji Wufeng said, she asked her employer to advance her salary. After waiting for 2 days, nothing happened. Let's just wait for when I give you the money and when you come back to work. Ji Wufeng said. Then I'll wait for Mr. Ji's call. However, Shi Qianying's expression became even more desperate, and she silently turned around and left. Shi Qianying hadn't taken a few steps when the phone rang. As soon as the call was answered, someone asked annoyingly, what time is it now? If you don't want to go to work, don't come. I'm sorry, manager. I was delayed because of something. I'll rush over now. Shi Qianying hung up the phone and hurried away. Seeing Shi Qianying leaving in a hurry, Ji Wufeng slapped his lips and said, "This can't be done, I have to find some money quickly." He took out his phone and dialed Qi Heng's number. After the call was connected, he heard Qi Heng's extremely respectful voice, "Master, do you have anything to do with me?" "It's nothing, I just need money right now." Ji Wufeng said. "How much do you want, master?" "Get me 200,000. Just wait and I'll send it to you now." Qi Heng said. "No need, I'll find you wherever you are." He didn't want anyone to disturb Ji Yanran's sleep. Okay, I'm at the Royal Court Club. "Master, come here now. I'll be waiting for you." Qi Heng said quickly. After confirming that Ji Yanran was still asleep, Ji Wufeng took a taxi and headed straight to the Royal Club. The Royal Court Club is a leisure club, and it is currently the largest and most high-end club in Yulio. Zhou Zixin asked Ji Wufeng to take her there once, and it cost almost 100,000 yuan. When they arrived at the entrance of the Royal Court Club, they saw Qi Heng waiting there respectfully with a group of boys from afar. After getting out of the car, Ji Wufeng glared and said, "You kid, when your health is a little better, you go out and mess around." Qi Heng was immediately startled and said, "Master, I didn't mess around. I just came here to have fun, and I didn't dare to mess around." Ji Wufeng glanced at Qi Heng and found that his yuan yang had indeed not leaked out, and said, "You know what's going on. Remember, don't touch women before I tell you that you are completely recovered. Otherwise, I will destroy you in the future. In spite of. Now that I know master, I will definitely remember him." Qi Heng nodded his head like a chicken pecking at rice. "Okay, give me the money and I'll leave first." Ji Wufeng said. "Master, please go in and sit down for a while. I'll ask some beauties to play with you. I'll go get some money for you. I don't have any cash on me right now." Qi Heng said. Ji Wufeng kicked her over and cursed, "You little bastard, get out of here. If you want a woolly beauty, go and get the money. I'll go and have a look first." Qi Heng ran away, and after running far away, his younger brothers asked, "Young Master Heng, who is that kid? I dare to be so arrogant in front of you, I don't think I want to live anymore." When Qi Heng heard this, he was furious. He stood up and scolded, "I don't think you want to live anymore. What a jerk. He is my father. How dare you call him a brat?" Entering the Imperial Club, when Ji Wufeng was bored, he suddenly saw a girl wearing a princess uniform hurriedly walking into a box. "Isn't that Shi Qianying just now?" Chapter 37 Meeting an Ex-Girlfriend. You are listening at ModernDay. It seems that Shi Qianying is really in a hurry to raise money, and she even came here to become a princess, but since Ji Wufeng agreed to invite her, there was no need for Shi Qianying to continue working. He immediately followed her and prepared to call her out. She was a superstar. If reporters found out in the future, she wouldn't know how to write it. Pushing open the door of the box, I saw a large group of men and women inside. One of them, a young man with a sinewy face, his eyes immediately went straight when he saw Shi Qianying come in. Such a top-notch beauty is extremely rare. "Ha ha ha, beauty, what's your name? How much is the appearance fee?" The young man with a sinister face walked over and stretched out his hand to touch Shi Qianying. Shi Qianying screamed in shock and stepped back. The Hengru young man was immediately overjoyed and said, "You are so timid, are you still a young child? It just so happens that this young master likes Chuer, haha. All women who hang out in such a place are all affluent, and Shi Qianying's delicacy is undoubtedly extremely rare." "Sir, I'm sorry. My job is to help you adjust the microphone and sound and select tracks. I don't provide other services." Shi Qianying said tremblingly. "No, honey, why are you pretending to be innocent now that you've come to a place like this? Let's have fun with my brother. I promise I won't treat you badly." The young man laughed and threw himself at Shi Qianying. Just as the young man was about to pin Shi Qianying down, a figure suddenly rushed in and blocked him. Miss Shi, we meet again. Ji Wufeng smiled. Ah, Mr. Ji, I. Shi Qianying was already panic-stricken. When she saw Ji Wufeng, she was even more frightened, and her face instantly turned pale. Ji Wufeng asked her to be a nanny to take care of the children, but which parent would be willing to do so? Asking a prostitute to take care of your child? Seeing Ji Wufeng barging in, the young man became furious and shouted, "Damn, you little brat from there, dare to ruin my good deeds." But after a girl on the sofa was stunned for a moment, she stood up and said in shock, "Ji Wufeng, why are you here?" Ji Wufeng looked back and was stunned. He didn't expect to meet Zhou Zixin here, but it was normal. With her money-worshipping and vain character, now that the eldest young master Qin Hongming was her financial sponsor, she was naturally intoxicated and partying every night. "It seems like it has nothing to do with you where I am, right?" Ji Wufeng said indifferently. "You." Zhou Zixin looked at Shi Qianying, with a sneer on her face, and said, "I see, you must have fallen in love with this bitch, right? But that's right, you are only worthy of such a dirty and despicable woman." Ji Wufeng's eyes turned cold and he said, "I don't take any blame for what you did before. In the final analysis, I was blind and I can't blame anyone else. But I promise, if you dare to provoke me again, I will make you pay double the price." He had let Zhou Zixin and his daughter go in order to control his anger before, but his patience had limits. Several young people in the box all occupied the box, looked at Ji Wufeng with fierce eyes and said with a ferocious smile, "Who is this kid? Very angry." At this time, a girl with a sharp mouth next to Zhou Zixin said with a sneer, "You don't know this, do you? He is our Xinxin's boyfriend, Mr. Ji, and of course he has a bad temper." Several young people were stunned for a moment, then looked at Ji Wufeng curiously and said, "Is he young Master Qin's cousin, that good-for-nothing?" "Yes, he is indeed that good-for-nothing, but he is not my boyfriend. I have no relationship with him." Zhou Zixin said angrily. Before anything happened to the Tianxiang group, Zhou Zixin was crying and shouting that she wanted to be Ji Wufeng's girlfriend, that she was his person in life and his ghost in death, but now she said that it had nothing to do with it, but Ji Wufeng didn't care, and he didn't want to have anything to do with such a self-degenerate woman. The girls looked at Shi Qianying and said viciously, "Yes, yes, only such a dirty and despicable woman can like this waste, and only young Master Qin can be our Xinxin's man." Ji Wufeng sneered in his heart. How could a vicious person like Qin Hongming really look at someone like Zhou Zixin? He just wanted to use her against him. Once Zhou Zixin lost her use value, she would be abandoned like garbage. "Hey, you loser dares to steal a woman from me. You are really impatient. Today I will teach you a lesson for Mr. Qin." The tough young man raised his fist and wanted to pounce on Ji Wufeng, intending to beat him up, but at this moment, the door of the box was suddenly kicked open, and a middle-aged man with fat head and big ears walked in. When the middle-aged man saw Shi Qianying, he walked over, grabbed her hand, and said with a smile, "Xiaoying, I finally waited until you came to work, just promise me. By then not only will your mother be sick, it's not a problem, I also promise to make you a big star." The young man was stunned, and then his anger started to rise. He kicked him and cursed, "Damn it, you old man, you dare to touch my young master's woman, don't you want to live?" Boom! The middle-aged man was immediately kicked and rolled several times on the ground, falling backwards. That's not all. The young man rushed up and sat on him again. He raised his fists and gave him a series of fat blows. He punched him in the mouth while cursing and said, "You fat pig, I asked you to steal my woman. Don't even look at what you are." The middle-aged man screamed after being beaten, and yelled, "Little bastard, you dare to hit me Zhang Zhiyao, you have the guts." Hearing the middle-aged man say his name, the whole audience was dumbfounded. One of the young people ran over to take a look, and immediately took a breath of air and said, "It's Mr. Zhang, it's really Mr. Zhang." The faces of everyone in the audience immediately changed. Zhang Zhiyao was once a famous figure in the world, a leader as famous as Qi Teng, and a ruthless character with a notorious reputation. However, he was not a warrior. In the end, he was almost recruited by his enemy to seek revenge by a master. After being wiped out, the Fu family saved their lives only by stepping in. After that, Zhang Jiao was recruited by the Fu family and was specifically responsible for the entertainment industry. The fat young man was almost frightened. He hurriedly helped Zhang Jiao up from the ground and said tremblingly, "Mr. Zhang, I'm really sorry. I didn't know it was you. Otherwise, even if I had the courage, I wouldn't dare to touch you. Hey, boy, you are so awesome, you dare to disturb Tai Sui." Zhang Jiao stood up, smiled, and kicked the young man on the thigh. The young man took a breath of air and squatted on the ground, jumping up and down like a rabbit. "Damn it, you still dare to jump." Zhang Jiao flew up and kicked him again. The young man screamed and lay on the ground, howling, "No, no, 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 Mr. Zhang, I know I was wrong. You don't care about the villain, please let me go." The gangster's attack was so ruthless that within a few blows, the ruthless young man almost lost his temper and lost half of his life. Ji Wufeng felt bored and said to Shi Qianying, "Miss Shi, let's go. You have to go to bed early tonight. You have to go to work at my place tomorrow." Chapter 38 He is my man. You are listening at ModernDay. Everyone was stunned. Zhang Jiao was originally here to attack Shi Qianying, but now Ji Wufeng actually wants to take him away. Are you mentally ill? Everyone in the box was about to cry, and Zhou Zixin shouted at Ji Wufeng, "Ji Wufeng, are you crazy? If you want to die, don't involve me." "Boy, you said you want to take people away?" Zhang Jiao was also stunned for a while. Ji Wufeng glanced at Zhang Jiao and said calmly, "I advise you not to mess with me, otherwise I'm afraid you won't end well." "Ha ha ha. No one in Yulio has ever spoken to me like this." "Well, if you have the guts, I guarantee you won't be able to leave the Huangting Club today." Zhang Jiao laughed loudly, then pointed to the others and said, "But I admire people with talent the most. Since he is on his own, you can leave now. After all, he is a Jianghu person with a Jianghu spirit, so he leaves Ji Wufeng behind and no longer embarrasses others." When everyone heard this, they were stunned at first, and then overjoyed. The fat young man immediately got up and ran away, saying, "Thank you, Mr. Zhang, thank you, Mr. Zhang." Others immediately followed and ran out, and outside the gate, a young man he said with lingering fear, "I didn't expect that Ji Wufeng saved us." With Zhang Jiao's temper, if it weren't for Ji Wufeng, they would have to shed a layer of skin today even if they were not crippled. A girl looked at Zhou Zixin, who was still panicking, and said, "Xin, after all, it was us who caused the trouble, leaving Ji Wufeng alone." This is indeed the case. If the ruthless young man hadn't beaten Zhang Jiao, he wouldn't have been there at all. This would not have happened, and Ji Wufeng was completely implicated by them. "Shut up," the young man said fiercely. "If you want to be loyal, just go back by yourself." Zhou Zixin also snorted coldly and said, "He is seeking death on his own. What does it matter to us? Just leave quickly. If anyone wants to care about him, he can go back by himself. It has nothing to do with me." Zhou Zixin left quickly after saying that. The others looked at each other and immediately followed. In the box, Zhang Jiao shouted loudly, "Here comes someone." Suddenly, more than a dozen fat and strong men rushed in from outside the door. This formation immediately frightened Shi Qianying. Zhang Jiao smiled and said, "Xiaoying, you have nothing to do here. Go back first. Today's salary will be paid as usual. I will see you when I have time." It doesn't matter if she lets Shi Qianying go. As long as she is still in Yulio, she can't escape from his grasp. Looking at the dozen or so fierce and strong men, Shi Qianying was really scared, but she looked at Ji Wufeng who had a calm face, bit her lip, and stood beside him. Ji Wufeng said, "You're not afraid, why don't you leave?" "I'm scared, I want to leave, but if it weren't for me, Mr. Ji, you wouldn't be implicated, so I can't leave." With a look of pain on her face, Shi Qianying said to Zhang Jiao, "Mr. Zhang, this happened because of me. It's none of Mr. Ji's business. Let him go. I promise you what you said." Ji Wufeng was stunned. He didn't expect that Shi Qianying was quite loyal. Zhang Zhiyao was overjoyed and said, "Ha ha ha, that's right. As my woman, not only will your mother's medical expenses not be a problem, I can also make you a big star." Ji Wufeng understood that this Zhang Zhiyao must have coveted Shi Qianying, and had paid for her mother's medical expenses and made her famous as a condition. However, Shi Qianying refused, but now she had to agree to Zhang Zhiyao in order to save Ji Wufeng. Ji Wufeng had been betrayed in his past life and paid a heavy price. Shi Qianying's integrity and friendship made him look askance. "For Xiaoying's sake today, boy, I will spare you, get out of here." Zhang Zhiyao was so happy to get Shi Qianying that he actually wanted to let Ji Wufeng go. Ji Wufeng shook his head, looked at Shi Qianying and said, "Miss Shi, let's go, otherwise you really won't be able to go to work at my place in time tomorrow." Suddenly, everyone was stunned. Damn it, could this kid really be stupid? I have already let you go, but you are not done yet. Do you really not want to live? I don't know whether to live or die, so I'll cripple one of his legs. Zhang Zhiyao finally got angry. Two strong men rushed over, raised the iron bars in their hands, and smashed Ji Wufeng's legs. Ji Wufeng snorted coldly and kicked them out. Bang bang. The two men, who were as strong as bulls, flew out and rolled on the ground several times, unable to get up for a long time. Everyone was startled, because no one saw clearly. The two strong men flew out. Okay, he's actually a practicing martial artist. Come along and chop him up for me. Zhang Zhiyao shouted. The other dozen strong men immediately rushed towards Ji Wufeng with weapons in hand. Ji Wufeng snorted coldly and kicked him out. Bang bang bang. The scene in front of him made Zhang Zhiyao's jaw drop to the ground in shock. All the dozen strong men flew out and fell to the ground unable to get up, wailing incessantly. Suddenly cold sweat broke out on his face. He had been in the martial arts world for many years and knew that there were martial arts masters in the martial arts world. Such masters were beyond the reach of ordinary people. Boy, you are so cruel. Our relationship is finally settled today. I guarantee you won't be able to get out of the door. Someone is here. Zhang Zhiyao roared. What happened today was entirely caused by his fancy for his master Qianying. If Ji Wufeng were to beat the people here and then walk away, and Qiting found out, he would have to skin him. Immediately, almost the entire Imperial Club's security guards were dispatched, and there was a flurry of excitement. A large group of people rushed into the box, and Zhang Zhiyao said in a ferocious voice, "Chop this kid into pieces." Just when Ji Wufeng's eyes were cold and he was about to fight, a girl rushed into the room with a cold face and said angrily, "Zhang Zhiyao, what are you doing, you bastard? If you disturb my study, I will skin you." Zhang Zhiyao was immediately startled. He ran over and nodded and said, "I'm sorry, miss, there's something wrong here." Husband. Before Zhang Zhiyao could finish his words, the girl suddenly rushed towards Ji Wufeng with gleaming eyes. Ji Wufeng hurriedly backed away, waved his hand and said, "Don't come over, don't come over." "Who is your husband now?" Fu Qingling said with a smile, "You said that as long as I can get into the same university as you, you will be my boyfriend." That's right, this girl is Miss Fu Qingling of the Fu family. That will have to wait until you pass the exam. It's hard to change one's nature. Ji Wufeng wouldn't believe that Fu Qingling would really work hard and study hard for the college entrance examination. Otherwise, why would he still have the heart to come here to play? It will be a matter of time anyway. Fu Qingling said with confidence. Zhang Zhiyao was completely confused. He stepped forward and asked, "Miss, what's going on?" Fu Qingling pointed at Ji Wufeng and said, "Please show me clearly. He will be my man in 2 months.